Let me start by saying we should stop calling Ruto president. Part of the struggle is the use of language. If we don't revolutionize our language, demystify and delegitimize oppressors, we are giving them power over us. It has to start with how we think and how we use language. Ruto lost legitimacy by the manner in which he has handled the protests. Not only did he hire goons, people who were not even police officers, and gave them guns to target protesters who are unarmed and peaceful and cause havoc in the country in all areas of Kenya. He then has gone on national TV many times and referred to them as criminals, the victims as criminals. So yesterday, what you saw the other day subsequent, the country must show Ruto that we own Kenya, that he doesn't own us, that having voted for him, and by the way, he did not even win the majority of Kenyans. He won the majority of the votes, 50 plus 1, according to the IBC. That does not give you ownership over a people. The fact that you supported me does not give me power over you forever. It doesn't mean that if I turn around and abuse you, if I turn around and steal from you, if I turn around and brutalize you or brutalize your family, if I devalue your values, then you still support me. No, there is no such thing. In a democracy, we must earn support every single day. And Ruto no longer has our support. He went on national TV in order to turn away viewers from our space, our X space, and basically refused to answer every single question that was given to him. And then turn around and denied things that are so obvious that you would wonder, is this man normal? It is no longer just a question of Ruto is cold-blooded. Ruto seems to be convinced that he's God Almighty, that there is nothing we can do to him. And so we have to get our country back. I believe, and I've said this many times, that we have to be focused. These are the things people are saying, these are the things people are doing, demanding, oh, where are you? Be in the forefront, blah, blah, blah. These are NIS and Ruto's tricks. Because it doesn't really matter where we are. Our brother who spoke from Zimbabwe is in Zimbabwe, but he is giving us inspiration. He's standing with us in solidarity. Our struggle is being watched everywhere. Our struggle is giving inspiration to everybody. And we can't fail ourselves. Because what happens when we fail? Then we give Ruto basically authority and power to pick each one of you and then assassinate, disappear, torture, maim, or force into exile. So this is a collective struggle. I just want to urge everyone that we have to be united in the struggle. Because of course, if we are divided, is going to win over us. And as I said yesterday, and I continue to say, this is an intergenerational struggle, even if led by Gen Zs and the millennials. The issues we are dealing with, the issues of impunity, the issues of corruption, the issues of abuse of power, the issues of strangulation of all institutions of governance, these are not issues that affect one generation. So the moment we allow the message that everybody else should keep quiet, that only Gen Z should speak, that the only people that are feeling the pinch is a generation called Gen Zs, we are losing it. Because even Generation Alpha, the boy who was killed in Rongai, is not a Gen Z. The other boy that was shot 8 times, it's not a Gen Z. And some of them were not even in the demonstration. You will be victimized, whether you are there or not. A tyrannical state does not distinguish between generations. And we learned this when we were growing up. Some of us have been in this struggle since we were teenagers too, like myself. So and we never stopped struggling, regardless of the contradictions in the struggle. So that's all I want to say for now. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. for that. And I see many people are joining the conversation. Thank you so much. And make 1 million strong tomorrow, and for securing our future or secure the country. That's the way to go. Kumbukeni.
10 million, my brother.
10 million. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Kumbukeni, go ahead.
Thank you, Dr. Miguna, honoring all who have lost their lives. I just want to emphasize on that point that you made, and it's a great point. I have been insisting, speaking on this need to ensure we don't go along with colonial language. Colonial language is very good at keeping us in boxes so that it can best control us. So they decide they're going to call us Gen Z so that they can best control us and control the narrative. We must refuse that. I agree with you. And this is a problem of Kenyans. I know my mother is suffering. When I was in Kenya, I was suffering to put food on the table. My brothers are suffering. My sisters are suffering. The children are suffering. So this is not just a Gen Z issue. The Gen Z, and even when you look at the protests, it wasn't just Gen Z on the streets. So this is something, being someone who's been in the West and seen and worked actually in their governments and seen how they operate, this is something they're very good on and very big on. They make sure they control the narrative, and we must make sure that we don't allow them to do so. Asante.
Thank you.
Maybe Hillary Kidogo. Maybe just to echo on the words of Daktari. Daktari, first of all, thank you so much for your contribution. The beauty with you is that you are eloquent enough, even if you putting us into dangerous spaces, we think like we are going into safe places. So your eloquence is something that we are admiring, and it is giving us energy. So easy, we need all the energy that we can get, because the person that we are dealing with, remember, he's most important. And I want to emphasize on this. Remember, the people that voted for this president were brick and mortar. Parliament mmechoma kwa ofisi ya Sakaja, dimple zake zitakaa wapi? CJ ana ofisi. Kumbukeni, this man was voted in by brick and mortar. So tomorrow he will be dealing with robots. So we need all the energy that we can get. Daktari, thank you. Kesho tunatokea. All of us will be there in numbers, 10 million strong. 10 million. Our strength is on the numbers. Our strength is on the disorganization. That is the biggest organization in Africa. Thank you for the brothers that are supporting us from diaspora, from other parts of the continent. Thank you so much. And everyone, please keep the hashtag going. Keep it alive. Like if you can, let's follow each other. Pale pia kwa nini. And there's a post I've put for Latif. Please retweet, like it, so that even when such kind of people get an opportunity to speak to Kenyans, they feel that we are behind them. Ruto should be feeling alone. We need to seclude this person. We need to put him in a corner and put him there forever and ever as Iwai Toka. We are tired, man. So next speaker.
Thank you. Brief, go ahead. Brief, go ahead. Maja, see you. Everybody, yep. We have a lot of requests, guys. Yeah, go ahead, brief.
Asante sana. Yes, I want to reiterate that point about us creating and sticking to our own narratives, using our own language. We are Africans, we are Kenyans. Let's continue to perpetuate our narratives. Let's go back to our roots in search of everything, including the solutions. Daktari, I love the fact that you point out correctly, very accurately, that this is not a new fight. We have been fighting this fight because in reality, our economy, our systems of government have never worked for us. They've never worked for us Kenyans. We were bequeathed colonial systems that were meant to work for the colonizer. And the only thing that the colonizer did is turn it over to the African elites, Mzungus in black skin, to be the guardians of the spoils of colonialism. I'll just go real quick into Machiavelli's four-point blueprint of how you demoralize and conquer and colonize a people. It's a very thin book, by the way, The Prince by Machiavelli. It's a very thin book. Everybody in here should read it because it shows you who we are dealing with in the form of ruto. So in the blueprint, it has 4 stages. The first one is you go in with your armies and administrators, and you demoralize the population by violence and aggression. The second stage is you create an elite class. You show them that if they are brutal, if they speak English like you or whatever language like you, and they behave like you, they too can get a taste of the privilege. The third one is 1960s, 1956 Ghana, 1963 Kenya, where you hand over political control to the elite class. And the fourth stage is the most lucrative because after they withdraw their security forces and their administrators, now all they do is collect on the spoils of colonialism using the elite class that they put in place. And that's what we have. We have an elite class that are the custodians, the guardians of colonialism. So Ruto just happens to be the very unfortunate one who is sitting being the custodian. He had a choice. He had a choice not to be the custodian, and we are giving him that choice today. As Kenyans, we are saying, are you going to serve us, or are you going to continue to serve the neoliberal colonialist policies that not new? It's been since independence, or so-called independence, quote unquote, because we've never been independent. We are still under colonialism. We are the first stage of colonialism. We are not even in neocolonialism yet. Maybe if we beat this economic colonialism, maybe they will introduce a new colonialism that we can at that point call neocolonialism. But at this point, we are still in colonialism. So, and Kenyans are very hungry because we've got a glimpse of what it might look like if we actually had a leader who had our interests. I think we all agree, or most of us Kenyans agree, that the Kibaki presidency showed us that we had the capacity to govern ourselves, to govern for Kenya, by Kenyans, with the interest of Kenyans. The fact that within one term, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, within the first term, Kenya was living within our means, living off the proceeds of our taxation, and we were getting services for the taxation. By the way, we must resist Western narratives that try to paint this as purely, quite simply, they reduce it to an anti-tax movement. We are not an anti-tax movement. What we are is an anti-imperialist, anti-neoliberal movement. We are protesting against regressive taxation. What we want is economic ladder are not being overly burdened. They are not being overburdened with the burden of taxation. We ensure that the people at the bottom of the economic ladder are looked after, that corporations, especially foreign corporations, especially international organizations, now Kenya is now the number one destination of venture capital. And every single venture capitalist firm in Kenya is run by wazungus, by foreigners, by Americans. They are coming, they are getting the funds. These funds look like they are coming to Kenyans. These same venture capitalists, they are coming, they are stealing the idea of Kenyans. Then they are turning around and killing, bankrupting those companies, cashing out, going to buy properties in Kileleshwa, in Mombasa, in Diani, in Zanzibar. So raising the prices of our homes at the same of our properties at the same time as they are stealing from us, they are stealing our ideas. And by the way, they are stealing our ideas and then killing them, because the only way you can actually cash out is if you bankrupt the company after you've already stolen and patented the ideas. So we have to connect the dots. So William Ruto had a choice to be a leader for Kenya for Kenyans. He has chosen to be a leader who is here to implement IMF policies that overburden again the poor, that protect in particular Western, European, and American corporations, but foreign corporations in general, foreigners. At the expense of Kenyans. So he needs to make a choice. He needs to be, and Kenyans are giving all of our leadership this choice. You need to be more afraid of us, and you need to show us that you're more afraid of us, because you need to recognize either ni sisi tumekuweka hapo, we've put you into power, ama ni brick and mortar ambayo imekuweka hapo. If you believe it's brick and mortar, fine, continue serving brick and mortar and serving the interests of the IMF and the World Bank and of BlackRock. This is why the guy who came in preaching bottom up, the very first executive order, he couldn't even wait for legislation. The very first executive order he signed was to privatize our most highly performing parastatals. Why? To hand them over to BlackRock. BlackRock is now very proudly coming to Kenya to invest, or so-called quote-unquote invest, to steal. Let's be very accurate. So when our parastatals are privatized, kila kitu imeenda. Starting with, by the way, when we are making sure that Ruto is gone, can we also make sure, even before Ruto, that Devin Day is gone? And by the way, there's a process of removing the president, and I don't know exactly what it is. I will admit that, Daktari, you are the lawyer here, but there is one thing, there is a path that is very clear. We need to first start removing the MPs, his supporters, the ones around him, because we can recall our members of parliament. And I can't believe how easy it is. I'm sure you've all seen that video. There's a website where you go, you start the petition for you only need something apparently very small, like 50,000, I believe, signatures to recall your member of parliament. So we need to start by those, because once we have recalled enough MPs, this guy is weak. He can be impeached. Right now, he cannot be impeached because he has the majority in parliament, even though right now, wanaogopa kutembelewa. So let's start with that process, because that is within reach. Let me yield there and hear from other people. Asanteni sana. Good to see you, Maj. Good to see everybody else. Kumbukeni. Lovely to see you there. And Dr. Miguna, in this space with you. Thank you, Wanjiro, for inviting me. And I'm just so gratified that we are having this conversation.
I think Daktari wants to answer you. Daktari, I see your mic is open. Please.
Yes. Thank you very much. We were on this space for 3 hours yesterday, and I actually posted a summary of the main points that we discussed. And I believe the general consensus, if I'm wrong, somebody can correct me, is that we are way past what our friend, brother was saying. We are way past that. We are way past recalling the MPs. We are way past
tells you that this guy comes online, but he looks for those loopholes like yesterday. So what I would like to say is the cause is already on and we can't back. Because for us to start regrouping again, if we stop this, it will be very difficult. But one issue I have personally is this. Like we say, maandamano, it's every Tuesday. we know very clearly that the ratio of a policeman to the citizens, it's 1 to maybe 300. So if we make it every day, we will be able to exhaust these policemen. They can't manage us. And then if we come, like we're saying, make it 10 million strong, we will exhaust all these departments of police and the military. So that's just my opinion. I wish that most people would come out, and I wish we can increase the days, not to give them time to re-strategize and plan. And I would like to ask Daktari, now since we know clearly right now that he's playing games with us when he say he doesn't sign, but I have understood from what I've heard, I'm not pretty sure, that if the bill stays along within 14 to 21 days, automatically it becomes a law. So it means we are fighting, but the thing is still cooking. So what's the best way we can do to make sure that we don't lose this, Daktari? Thank you.
Daktari, the mic is yours.
Yeah, thank you very much. So the short answer is yes, within 14 days, the bill is automatically law. So basically, Ruto has done nothing. There is no withdrawal of the bill. It will automatically become law, even if he doesn't sign it. That is why I was saying people who are saying Ruto has conceded are completely wrong. He waited until this time because he knows that if he doesn't sign it within 14 days, it will be law. And he's already signed the appropriation bill 2024, which means that he is spending just as much as he was before. He said that he was going to deal, like yesterday, he was asked about the offices, the illegal offices of the first ladies and the second and third ladies, and he said he was going to not fund them. But in the appropriation bill that he signed, he allocated over 557 million to these officers. They are already receiving money as he was speaking, so he knew he was lying. Don't believe anything Ruto says. Don't believe anything his office says. Don't believe anything any of his cronies say throughout history. Is to occupy all spaces. Make sure they can't move. Make sure they can't execute. Make sure they can't do anything. So that even if they took the money, they cannot spend it. Right now, if they cannot leave State House, they can't go to the 7-star hotels, they can't fly out of the country, they can't go to their mistresses, they can't enjoy the money. So eventually, they will just have to go. And if we are 1 million to 10 million strong, we can occupy everywhere, including where he is. And he would have to take that helicopter to Congo or to any other country that he deems he can seek exile in. But Ruto should have no free space to move. And his regime. Those who are thinking that this is something to be given to Rigiji should be reminded that Ruto must go includes the entire regime. Those who are saying the military will take power do not understand the mentality or orientation of the military. The military does not fire at citizens. They join citizens when citizens occupy all public spaces. That is recorded in history. They are not like the zombies that are called police, who shoot because many of them do not even know how to write their names. And I am not saying this lightly, because you have seen the robotic nature with which the police shot everyone who was not even threatening them. So let's focus on Ruto and his regime. The gentleman called Boyer said, let's not be legal or constitutional. I have emphasized, Clause 1 of the Constitution is part of the Constitution. When you're occupying public spaces and saying Ruto must go, that is a constitutional exercise. When you are removing ruto through clause 1, you are acting within the constitution. There is nothing outside the constitution. You don't need anything else. Anybody who is referring to a secondary legislation or some kind of act of parliament does not understand how law and constitution works. The constitution is the supreme law. Any law that contradicts it is null and void. So any law that purports to claw back on our sovereignty is deemed null and void. Thank you.
Thank you, Daktari. Thank you, Daktari, for those sentiments. I think now we are clear. Everyone has understood the mission. We only have one assignment tomorrow is to occupy. Carry your bottle of water, carry your flowers for commemoration of the heroes that we've lost. Be in public spaces, occupy. Let's all be on the streets. We'll march on peacefully. And until Ruto must go is achieved. So the next speaker, please.
Can I just ask a quick follow-up question, Kinsman?
Kumbukeni, you are. I've seen you. I've seen you, but I think you have a network problem.
Yeah? My friend, there is a lady who wants to ask a follow-up question. Maybe if you don't mind, you could allow her to ask.
Yes.
What's
please.
Her name, please, Daktari?
It's Nduku Kumbukeni. Can I go ahead?
Ladies that are here, I'm seeing Achieng, I'm seeing
It's me.
I'm seeing ladies, if you're in the room, kindly raise your hand.
She's saying her name is Nduku. Her name is Nduku.
Kumbukeni is the handle.
Kumbukeni, please.
Asante. All right, so...
But she seems to have a network problem because her Nini has just been rotating.
Can you hear me?
Kumbukeni, can you hear us?
I can hear her very well. I can hear her.
Okay, proceed.
All right, okay, thank you. So, Dr. Miguna, just because Ruto was very keen to keep repeating the rule of law, and this is something that these criminals who call themselves leaders do all the time so that they can justify deploying the military on the people. So, and you have said several times that the military will not shoot on the people if the people occupy. I look at the Constitution, which is the rule of law that Ruto will use to defend his actions. And in one part, it gives the people the sovereign power, but right after it takes away the sovereign power from the people and gives it to the presidency. So could you please address that?
Okay, so let me answer you, Nduku. The Constitution does not take power that it has given in Clause 1. Clause 1 is not negated in any part of the Constitution. The following provisions of the Constitution simply says that once the people have delegated power to someone like the president, they would exercise that power. The delegation happens at election time. But if the people believe, for instance, that the president has not done what he was elected to do, Clause 1 can always be triggered by the people. And they do not have to go to their delegate, the person they have delegated power to, for permission to get back their power. That's like saying, if you have an employee and you have given the employee the terms and conditions of employment, there is a letter of employment. They are not supposed to be insubordinative to you. They are not supposed to steal from you. They are supposed to be answerable to you when they have done something and you want to call them to account. If they disobey your orders, you can fire them. And you don't need permission from them to fire them. So what I'm saying, the Constitution is our employment letter. We gave the president or Ruto a job to do. And for 2 years, he has done no job for us. He has been mangering all over the world, going to Washington. In fact, Ruto has been traveling every single week. He has spent billions of our money. He is our employee. We are the employer. He has spent billions without permission from us. He purported to have hired a jet to Washington without our authority. There is no constitutional power he had to unilaterally take our money and hire a jet. We have Kenya Airways. That is the mode of transportation for anybody who is working for us, because Kenya Airways partly belong to us. So what I'm saying is that Ruto has abrogated every constitutional provision and every term of employment, and he stands dismissed.
Would it, a quick one, sorry, Kingsman and Hillary, would it then
No, but I think going back and forth is not useful. Once I've answered your question, I think
you have answered it, but I was going to ask as a follow-up of that, would it then be a wise choice for us to put together an indictment that lists everything that you did, so that we're not just talking about it in rooms, but we actually have a document that is saying this is why we're calling you out?
When Ruto was disobeying us, he did not come with a list. And when he was disobeying us, he already knew the terms of engagement. He knew that we did not need permission from him. We don't need a list to indict Ruto. Ruto stands indicted by his very acts. Yesterday, he sealed his fate by not even feeling sorry for families he has bereaved, for people he has caused pain to, for citizens that he has harmed and killed. And as far as I'm concerned, and many Kenyans have said this, Ruto is out of touch. Ruto is a cold-blooded murderer, and such people should be punished and not rewarded. Any day Ruto spends in State House is a day too much.
Thank you so much, Daktari. Man, people are keeping dropping. I don't know what the problem. Check your network. It is now 8:30 here, but check your network and everything. Kingsman, can you hear me? Because I realized that you can't hear other people.
Yes, I can hear you clearly. I think there was a network problem, but I'm back.
Yeah, all the calls are dropping. I don't know why, but guys, let us check your network well. We're trying to keep it so that it can work.
I think the NIS and the Communication Authority and Safaricom and the rest, they are doing their thing. But let's focus on what we are doing.
Yeah, let us focus on what you're doing, guys. Yeah. You drop, you come back. I don't know what's happening, but it's okay. This is you. Your hand is up sometimes. Then I change on that order. let
me go after Achieng, please, Hillary.
Okay, Achieng, go
Hillary. Just kidogo too, maybe to compliment on whatever Daktari has said to Kumbukeni. I think the beauty about whatever we are going through at the moment is a feeling that is being experienced by each and every Kenyan. It is a feeling that supersedes and then it goes beyond tribal connotations. So that is even why they are having a problem on how they are going to approach this, because now the person they used to vilify all the time is Raila. Raila is not on the scene. It used to be a tribal thing, so the tribes are not here. These are feeling of whereby Punda imechoka since 1964, but today Punda iko like, I don't give an F whether I'm a Masai, a Kikuyu, a Kalenjin. I've realized the country against bad governance. He has been able to unite us against tribal affiliations. So, and he has also been able to unite us against him and his KK regime and his Akina this guy, Akina Sudi, splashing out money, opulence and all that. So already, as Daktari has said, the scorecard is out there. This guy, from the day he got into office, he never even looked at his JD. The interview that he did with the Kenyan people, he has never, ever from day one even ticked JD number 1. His KPIs are uko chini. If you were to rate him between 0 and 10, ako uko -3. So there is, you see, and then there is, unajua kuna ule mtu unaambiwa utetee, unasema hata mimi simjui. This guy is at a position where it is so difficult for him to come and convince the Kenyan people that there is anything else he can do. Especially the fact that he was not remorseful yesterday. I think that was the nail on the coffin.
All right, Kingsman, thank you so much. Check your network always. People keep dropping, getting a lot of messages. I don't know why, but check your network. And we have said that NIS and also the Safaricom is doing their things, but we are trying our best to make sure that the space run and very active. And let us be focused. 10 million people strong on the street in the morning. That's what we are saying. It is now 8:30, and that's where we are focused on. To see our people on the ground, to see we on going on the ground in the morning, and that's the way to go. Achieng, go ahead, then Risasi, then Maju say hi. Good evening, guys, and thank you, Hillary, Dr. Miguna, for this platform. My senior Achieng and Council and Kingsman ameongea nikasikia ni kama tayari I'm already getting angry again after the interview that Ruto put out yesterday, but we're going to be focused, 10 million strong. I'm just here to reiterate what Senior Counsel Dr. Miguna said when he says that we are beyond the point of talking to the government. And when he says that what we're doing is constitutionally right, I think let me just shed some background on maybe where he's coming from. So legally speaking, when a legal document is drafted, you have to look at the spirit behind that document. You know that law is an evolving creature, so you need to look at the spirit behind that document. And when the Constitution was being drafted, Article 1 actually just says the people may exercise their sovereign power either directly or through their democratically elected representatives. Guys, I need us to understand that we elected these people democratically to air our voices and concern. But at the same thing that I'm saying, the spirit of the document, if you look at the finance bill, the spirit behind it was not the one to tetea for the common mwananchi. This was the spirit behind it was the one for the IMF, the people who have their interests, and the tumbocrats themselves. So when the Constitution was being drafted, they know this power is ours. They know the wananchi the supreme. They know that we are the ones who elect people into power. So do not fear. Do not fear. The Constitution envisages all these scenarios. We are not out of order. We are still within the rule of law. And if at all anything, we are using the utmost Article 1. There's a reason why it's Article 1 of our Constitution, because it's supreme. So let's not fear. 10 million strong tomorrow. Let's just come out and defend each other. We fight for our rights. That's all I have to say for today. Thank you so much, Etienne. God bless you. Thank you so much. Yep. Mobilize people. Tell them we're alive at the moment with Generali Mwenyewe at the moment. We are sharing the hashtag Ruto must go, make 10 million strong and secure our future and our country. Risasi, go ahead.
Thank you, Hillary. I think let me start by just reiterating what Dr. said yesterday. One of the things that came up was we are not going to get any kind of justice without removing Ruto in power. If Ruto is still in power, you will never get justice. And he gave so many examples yesterday. 2, protest works. So in that spirit, we should get out there and remove this guy. We didn't stop him from posting on the financial bill by going to the court or even through constitution. We did that by going to the streets, and evidence is there. If we are not sure of who we are dealing with, Ruto is a textbook definition of a dictator. And how do dictators operate? One of the fundamental characteristics of dictators is their decision-making process. Dictators make decisions through a very tiny cabal of advisors. You have a good example, Ndi and the likes. They make decisions through cronies. People are not even qualified. The likes of Farouk Kibet, somebody who doesn't have got even a job description. I think the best qualification Farouk is I don't know. I cannot even imagine, except being a friend to Ruto. And they do this through the aid of their parrots, the likes of Itumbi. Sycophants, the likes of Jakakimba, whose their role is to wake up in the morning, type what the president said, to working for president on Twitter. That is what they do. Secondly, look at how he's trying to consolidate support. He has done this through churches previously, and I think people have realized that. So he has nowhere to run to churches. That is why when he hears people occupying churches, he gets agitated. He's doing this through trade unions. Look at the likes of Atuoli. Those are the people who are supporting him. He's doing this through hijacking political parties. Recently, he has already hijacked ANC to consolidate support in parliament. He's doing this through state machinery. Recently, there was proposals to increase salary for police, and these are just aimed to consolidate his base. So, guys, we are dealing with a despot here. It's just a matter of time before we have somebody like Mugabe in the making. Other thing that is very, very much determined is control of key institutions. These are the army, the police, the civil service, state media, parliament. For now, he has control of parliament. There's nothing else you can do in parliament. Judiciary, the less we speak about it, the better. You know what happened, including swearing of judges is being done in State House, and this is the third arm of government. He's doing this through licenses, censorships. Recently, I saw KTN complaining that they were about to shut off their frequencies. This is a classic dictator we are dealing with here, guys. There's no difference between Ruto and Gaddafi or Ruto and Saddam Hussein. It's just like that Saddam Hussein who wears a counter suit. But otherwise, huyu ni Saddam. Hakuna tofauti. He's doing this through abductions. How many people were abducted in the course of last week? Arrest, dismissals, and now people are dying. There are murders. There are murders, disappearances happening all over. So if we remain with this guy in power, trust me, itakuwa worse than even before we went for this demonstration. So with that, please, let's not lose focus. The guy has to go, and the easiest way, suspend your constitution. Laws are made for men, not men made for laws. Kama ni mbaya, we can suspend the constitution. It doesn't have to be every time that, sijui tutamtoa na katiba. Ruto si mtu wa kutoa na katiba. Nyi mlimuona jana na kama mtu wa kutolewa na katiba. He's not going anywhere. So if we don't remove him, then he will be stuck with us. Hiyo ndio contribution yangu, Hilary. Thanks.
Ubarikiwa sana Risasi. Asante sana. That's the spirit that we're going with. Thank you so much, guys. Keep networking together as usual. And we said that look at your right, your left. And we want to make this conversation go on. And now we want to know also your security. And Dr. said something yesterday that if you don't have spirit of revolution, don't go outside. If you fear death, then sleep. And when you don't fear, when you know that you are fighting for your country and you're going there, then you have to be very, very vigilant all the time. Levi, close your mic. Levi, hatufanyi kazi hapo. Levi, hatufanyi kazi hapa hivyo. Funga hiyo mic yako. Asante. Mike, Umaj, can you say hi? How are you?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Thank you.
Yes, you can hear you, Maj.
Thank you, and thanks everyone. To those who are going to demonstrate tomorrow, I kindly ensure you demonstrate peacefully so that it is a peaceful demonstration. Of course, you know that things can turn out differently, but be on the record to be the one demonstrating peacefully. And I received a lot of information, inboxes of people who were asking me that they wanted to speak and they were from the ground. I'm here now. Keep those requests. I'm going to add you. And so that at least also your voice is heard. I really received many inbox messages. I just want to say that I'll be here just queuing in and ensuring that as many people as possible, especially from the ground, also get to speak. And welcome again, and thanks, Dr. for coming on board again. Back to you, Hilary.
Well, thank you so much. Brief. Go ahead.
No, Hilary, maybe before brief, guys, I've posted the article 1 of our constitution as Daktari was taking us through it. So if you see it on the message side, please retweet, like it, so that it can reach out to as many people as possible. We need to get informed. We need this is the new kind of maandamano, and it feels good. You can even go tomorrow to the maandamano with your suit, umedunga, uko msafi, umepiga marashi, unanukia. Anti hata ule mwenye ambeba fimbo anashangaa sasa nimpige tear gas ama tu ni mheshimu. Yani the most beautiful demonstration ever in the whole world. Ruto is about to find out. Yani atakuwa hata askari watawaambia hapana, hao si wa kupigwa, wewe enda tu kanyaga kubwa. So tomorrow we are peaceful, tunajibamba. Kama uko na speaker, beba, tokea kwa street, enjoy your music, enjoy your drink, kunywa maji. he must go, man. Lazima aende tu. Yani lazima tu. I don't know if you're feeling the energy that this guy has to go. And we are so informed. Hakuna fala hapa. Some of us are not even interested with holding any public office for the rest of our lives. We just want a better Kenya. We do not want a country of chieftains. Sijui, it's like that person who always wants to call you out for a drink and then he and buy. He's buying every time. But when you ask him, bro, what do you do for a living? He doesn't tell you. So that is the kind of president that we have. Anataka tu kutubaia. Pana tunataka kila Mkenya aweze kujibaia drink. Wale wenye wakunywi wajibaie chai. Wenye maandamano is peaceful. We are not touching his brick and mortars. Hizo ajieke, apeleke Sugoi, wakakae huko na familia yake. Juu hakuna kitu inawafurahisha kama kuown buildings, kuown mavitu. Unajua mavitu tu. I think that is their goal in life. So achia Sakaja na dimple zake, mtu asiguze City Hall. Don't touch anything. Just be on the streets. Let's be there. All of us, as Daktari has said, 10 million strong.
Daktari, go ahead. I can see your mic.
Yes. Thank you very much. I wanted to say my intelligence actually tells me that City Hall was not banned by protesters. It was banned by Sakaja himself, so that Ruto could use it as the excuse to give that protesters banned it. And many places that banned, it is the tear gas that exploded, just like it burnt the police officer's hands, the one who lost both hands, the same way that it would burn anything that is flammable. So we cannot take blame for what they have done. We must not take responsibility for Ruto's thuggery. I am sure that today they are planning how they are going to unleash goons that will inflict harm on protesters. But one thing you must know about Ruto, because I know him personally, Ruto wants to be loved. Okay? In as much as he's cold-blooded and everything, he actually wants to be loved, to be liked, to be worshipped, to be praised. And he particularly likes that from foreigners, the foreign media, Washington, London, all these capitals of the West, because he suffers from low self-esteem. That's what happens with a lot of tyrants who suffer from low self-esteem. But he's a weak man. He's weak politically. He's weak mentally. You saw that he's weak psychologically also. He's not that intelligent. Because dictators who are intelligent would have answered questions properly yesterday. Would even have pretended. Ruto couldn't even pretend. He is worse than when Uhuru appeared during the BBI and everybody else had rejected it, or in 2017 and people had voted against them, and the Supreme Court ruled against their electoral theft. They threatened the Supreme Court, they threw tantrums, they threatened the people. They were completely without any control. That's Ruto. So the more we press, the more he has nothing left out of his arsenals. He has already used brute force. He's been abducting people. He's been killing people. He tried to seek sympathy, but people have told him, we are not listening because you are completely disconnected to what is happening. So tomorrow, he will not be able to do anything. I can assure you, he has run out of anything else that he can do. So the more we push him against the wall, the more we guarantee that he will leave. Finally, our security and safety is in our numbers. Let no one lie to you that your security and safety is staying home. The people who stayed home in Githurai the other day, or in Rongai the other day. Some of them were shot through the window or through the walls of their houses. Some of them died just walking on the road. They kept away from the protest. But they came for you and killed you on the street. The same thing happened in the Maandamanos before they bought Raila Odinga. They killed people in their homes. So the point is this. You are not safe staying at home. You are not safe saying that you are going to watch this thing from bars. We are safe when we are many on the street. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Daktari. And so, Sakaja, I know you're listening. The allegations weigh very heavy. So, because this is what is going to also make other demonstrators get killed. And afterwards, when we're asking for explanation, because I heard the word accountability being used. I don't know how people thought out, the idea or the fantasy of accounting for somebody who's died. They've died, they're not coming back again. But that needs clarification, Governor Sakaja, if you're listening, because that should not be the case. I think brief scoop was next. Over to you, brief scoop.
Asante much. And just want to reiterate, yes, Constitution is a document. And while, yes, this process is within the Constitution, to Risasi's point, and to, I believe it was Achieng earlier, these documents are meant to serve us. We are not meant to serve them. And I want to ask Daktari, to that point, should we already be thinking about the future? What comes after this? Because I do believe that this is a foregone conclusion that Kenyans are coming out. We'll keep this up. We have to keep this up. Because actually at this point, we have no choice. We've started this fight, and quite frankly, we don't have a choice. Retreat is not an option. So is it too soon? Is it too early? Can we be discussing simultaneously what comes next? And to that point, does this Constitution serve us sufficiently? There are components that do, but does it do so sufficiently? I think you want to already answer, so I will use them.
So brief scoop, let me answer you quickly. I want you to go to my Twitter handle and read the document of yesterday. Please read it completely up to the end. And then digest it. Because your answer is there. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Daktari. Check what Daktari is posting and check all the things he's trying to answer some of the things on our Twitter handle. So you can get more answers on the same.
I actually posted it more than 3 hours ago.
All right. Nidi Joe, I see your hand, then Joe Karani, then Mwangi, then Levi. That way.
Yes, thank you for the platform. And asante sana Prof kwa kuwa available to give us guidance. Mine is to tell all the comrades heko, because so far so good. Good work has been done. So I want to say this. So far we've seen these guys trying to do this thing we call divide and rule. And I'd like to urge each and every one of us who's listening here that don't be misguided, don't be intimidated, be fearless. This is a good cause, and we are fighting for our country. Again, we should continue pressing the hashtag Ruto must go. And he must go with his regime in its entirety. Again, we must also continue to press on the issue of the IEBC. As we go to the streets tomorrow, let's all come out in large numbers, because I am sure wherever we're headed is the right direction. We need to come out, because we need to show this thing is serious than it was last week. Finally, I'd like to say this. Everything that we are doing is because of our country. So let no one deceive you or intimidate you against standing up for your right. So Tomorrow we say it's 10 million strong. Come out in large numbers. Let's do whatever we are supposed to do. But again, we insist on peaceful demonstrations. Let's shun things that may tarnish our name and our image, so that whatever we are fighting for, it's a good cause. And at the end of the day, when we approach it in a peaceful manner, tactically and strategically, we shall be able to conquer. So we are together in this, 10 million strong tomorrow. Let's meet. Thank you.
I think as because there are so many requests, there are so many requests that are coming in. I think we can stick. Remember our main speaker is Daktari, so most of the questions should go towards him, and you also now make a brief comment on how yesterday's presidential roundtable with the media made you feel. What was your feeling after the interview? How did you feel? Were you like empathetic to him? Were you like you can give him a second chance? And then when it comes now to the questions of how we'll tackle this, I think those ones, constitutional questions, can be directed to Daktari. Us will just be giving guidance on how we proceed. So please, when you get your mic, there are so many requests. Don't take a lot of time. At least 5 minutes maximum, guys. So after 5 minutes, we'll be ringing the bell on you.
Actually, Kingsman, we can reduce to even 3. 5 minutes we will not manage, like you said.
Three.
Yeah.
I think 3.
Thank you. Back to you, Kingsman.
So I've seen no one.
Levi was to come. Levi, Joe, Mwangi, then Yaradwen. Levi, Joe,
Okay.
Mwangi, then Yaradwen. Go ahead, Levi.
Patriots, revolutionists, thank you so much for this platform and giving an opportunity for people to ventilate their ideas and their questions on this issue. I also pass my regards to Dr. Miguna for coming here to give some guidance. I'm an advocate also by profession and a student of different means of protest, and that's what I'm going to address. There are so many other means of protest that we've not included in our fight. We'll have to incorporate everything that is within our means if we are to succeed on the overriding objective of having this government resign or go down. I'll start by the notion of Gen Z. A revolution ordinarily is started by a group of people. So let us denounce the notion that this revolution belongs to Gen Z. I've gone to the street several times, of course, and you'd come back and people would ask you, are you a Gen Z? This is not a Gen Z revolution. This is a revolution that is started by Gen Z. For a revolution to be successful, all parties must come in, all generations must actually join this cause, and I'll actually be very happy the day I'll see a grandfather, a father, a son, or a grandchild all in the streets. I remember that was what was happening in Tahrir Square at the peak of the Arab Spring in Egypt. So let us make an effort to bring everybody on board. Let's bring all classes on board. Let's bring all ages on board. And that's the only way we can succeed in this cause. I'll also address the issue of walkouts. There are many professions in this country. Myself, as a lawyer, I had to adjourn my matter that is coming up tomorrow so that I can participate in the protest. I make the formal application today in court that I cannot attend a hearing tomorrow because of protest. For this revolution to succeed, patriots, we need to talk to every professional and pressurize them to start normalizing walking out of their jobs. Doctors at some point will have to walk out of hospitals at a specific time to show their solidarity to the revolution. I keep wondering, why are schools still operating normally? The teachers, there are a big number in Kenya who have a lot of influence in the villages. We have to find a way of incorporating them, let them walk out of the schools. Students were the first victims of ruto when I actually tear gassed them with the intention of grabbing their land next to Weston. Students will also have to join the protest by walking out of schools and carrying placards in schools. So let us expand the scope of our revolution. Let us expand the scope outside the street to go to offices, to go to schools, to go to hospitals, and actually even to go to courts. Now, what we are doing is essentially in law, I'll call it civil disobedience. Civil disobedience is enshrined in Article 1 of the Constitution, as Daktari and other lawyers have talked about it. And someone has mentioned the Constitution serves humanity. The Constitution is actually a product of democracy. And therefore, the people have a right to go to the streets and exercise democracy directly. Something like nudity. At some point in this long journey towards this government, we'll have to invoke nudity, if possible, as a form of resistance, where on attack by the police, people in mass with a plan will have to strip so that any attack from the police is actually stopped by that specific means of resistance. I'll also address the issue of our revolutionists and comrades who are abroad. You have a role to play. Ensure that you mobilize Kenyans in cities across the world. As the Daktari has noted with a lot of precision, that should not be allowed. In foreign capitals in the world, it has started and it should continue. Let Kenyans stand up and tell the foreign governments that you are dealing with a dangerous person. Do not be lied by this person. It is also a high time that ICC is flooded with petitions from Kenya. That there is a war criminal, there is a person who is committing crimes against humanity on the loose. He has been your client before. He is back on rampage. Ensure that you send petitions to ICC. I'll be sharing that process. It's a very simple process, and everyone, not a lawyer alone, has a right to complain. That is what happened in Gaza, and you can see the results. Finally, the ICC actually is pursuing an indiction against Netanyahu and his accomplices. The same applies in Kenya. What is happening is crimes against humanity. And we have a role to proceed and petition the ICC to do the necessary. Comrades and patriots, what I'm saying in short is that pressure must come from all directions. The enemy is dangerous. The enemy is insidious. The enemy is sly. Let us take pressure from all directions to achieve the overriding objective of this government resigning from power or leaving power by any peaceful, legal way necessary. Thank you.